Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things and welcome to another video. And today, the 6th of June 2020, I have been on Booktube for 5 years. So, 5 years ago today, I uploaded my very first Booktube video ever, which means I've now been on Booktube for 5 years, which is actually, when I think about it, a really long time. It is in fact 18.5% of my life and more than half of my adult life, which is quite weird when I come to think of it. When I started this Booktube channel, I was still a university student. I was doing my masters. In the 5 years that I have been on Booktube, I've also had 5 different jobs and lived in 5 different homes, which is weirdly symmetrical. And obviously my life has changed a lot, and my Booktube channel has changed a lot. It's also grown a lot more than I ever thought it would, which is really nice and also quite weird to look back on 5 years ago when I started and I was like, I'm just gonna try this thing and maybe I'll stop very soon because I don't know if it'll work and I don't feel like I'm gonna be any good at it. I love Booktube a lot and it has made a really big difference to my life. I love the community on Booktube. I've made some very important friends on Booktube. I've read a lot of amazing books because of Booktube, and also like when I think about how Booktube made Victober and Jane Austen July happen and how like I now look forward to these things as like highlights of a year in my life, not just of like my Booktube life, that's pretty weird and pretty cool. So there are a couple of things that I want to do today. The first thing I want to do is say thank you for all being here and watching me, some of you for 5 years, many of you for much less, but I'm very grateful to everyone who has made me feel like it's worth continuing my channel. Also, in order to celebrate being on Booktube for 5 years, I thought I would do a Q&A. I have done many Q&As before, but I always enjoy them. So please, if you have any questions for me for the Q&A about anything, probably bookish related, please leave them down in the comments. I'm going to say that the Q&A is open for 2 weeks and then I will film a video and put it up answering all of your questions. Another thing I thought I would do today, which I'm not sure if I'm going to do, and I might cut out of the video later, is watch and react to my first ever Booktube video, which I put up 5 years ago, which I haven't watched for a very long time. It's only 3 minutes long, so we might do that. The other thing I'm going to do, which I'll do after that, is do some tag videos. So there are 2 tags which I found, one of which is the Booktube birthday tag and one of which is the Booktube anniversary tag, and I couldn't pick between them, so in the end I smushed them together and I took some questions from one tag and some questions from the other, and came up with 10 questions. So I'll link the original tag videos of both of those tags below, but I'm going to do a mix of the questions because I thought they were quite fun, and that's what we're going to do today. So Q&A, please leave your things down below, and now let's watch together my first ever Booktube video from a very long time ago. So I have my tea, I have my bookshelf, I have a very precariously balanced camera. I think I'm ready to begin. Also, there's a really big buzzing on my tea intro. I forget that I've always been doing that. It's so weird. It's my house in Bath. My name's Katie and I like books quite a lot. About a year ago I started a literary blog called Books and Things, where I review a different book every week. I review anything and everything from fantasy to literature. In my old flat in Bath I used to have to sit on the bed, because that was where the bookshelf was, and balance a pile of books on top of the bed, on top of my bedside table, which I put on top of the bed with some books on top in order to balance my camera. That was my initial setup. I filmed on a camera that was supposed to be for taking photographs and could only record 8 minutes at a time and could only store 16 minutes at a time. It was a bit of a messy setup, suffice to say. Literary fiction, from short stories to the odd thriller, basically because I read and enjoy a lot of different books. I've been thinking for ages about starting up a Booktube channel as well, which I could use for something slightly different to my blog, but I kept putting it off for ages. Last week I pretty much decided I was never ever going to do this. And then I watched a video by Jen Campbell called Let's Talk About Booktube, which I will link in the thing below. In this video, Jen Campbell spoke about everything that makes Booktube wonderful and exciting and really good fun, and I remembered not only why I love watching Booktube videos so much, but also why I might quite like to make them. This is weird because now I know Jen and I've met her in real life. And obviously like I still love her YouTube channel a lot, but she was definitely one of the like big influences on me starting Booktube, and now I know her, and that's weird in a nice way. Basically, I like talking about books to anyone who will listen, so I think Booktube might just suit me. The other thing Jen Campbell spoke about in her video was that she'd like to see more people on Booktube making videos about literary fiction. And I thought, yeah, okay, I could do that. This is another interesting thing because I would now actually say that I don't think I actually love literary fiction. I love reader group fiction. The little space between and crossing over a bit with the kind of upmarket end of commercial fiction and the less experimental end of literary fiction, and actually really literary fiction I often don't like, which I don't think I knew when I started making videos, and I don't think I had as clear categories for books in my head when I started, which is interesting as well.
A lot of people on Booktube are talking about YA, and I've never really known if that's just because people who watch Booktube only really want to hear about YA, or if maybe there's some kind of gap that isn't really being filled. And while I love John Green as much as the next person, the majority of what I read is literary fiction and classics. I love books that don't really fit into the genre categories. Authors such as Diane Setterfield, who wrote The 13th Tale,
still my favourite.
Or books like Kazuo Ishiguro's Remains of the Day. I also really love 19th century literature. My favourite authors ever are Jane Austen and Charles Dickens. They're just such wonderful authors. I love them.
It's good to know some things haven't changed that much.
They are my favourite people ever. My favourite novel of all time is Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens.
Still
it's
the
just
same.
So good. It is the best book ever. Just a bit of background about me. I did my undergrad degree in English literature and history, and I'm currently doing a master's in creative writing. Like many bookish people, I am much better at written communication than verbal communication, so I feel like I'm taking a bit of a risk doing this. Also, like many bookish people, I don't get on very well with technology. Generally, when laptops, cameras, phones, anything come anywhere near me, they just break and die. So just how this whole editing malarkey will go remains to be seen.
This is interesting because I would actually say I'm quite good at technology now. I wonder if that's partly to do with working and having an office job, but also I wonder if it's partly to do with Booktube and having the skills to like edit a video, and learning how to do that has made me feel maybe more confident about technology. Like I'm still not fantastic about like hardware. When it comes to software, I can usually work out how to do most things on a computer, so it's really interesting that I didn't think that at the time.
However, I will try my best. I'd like to try and use this channel for something slightly different to my blog. I'm going to keep doing weekly book reviews there.
I didn't. My blog is very long dead.
So I probably won't do many book reviews here, but I will do the general Booktube stuff, wrap-ups and all of that kind of thing. Also on my blog I tend to review books that have been published in the last 5 to 10 years, so it'll be really nice to be able to use this channel to talk more about all the old books that I love. So basically, please subscribe if you would like to hear more from me, and please bear with me as I'm very new to this. However, I will be back soon with more bookish stuff. In the meantime, happy reading.
It's really weird watching my very first ever Booktube video. One, because I feel like I look really young and it's a long time ago and my hair is very different. And also I feel like the way I talk to the camera and even like my voice, my Booktube voice is different. Maybe just my real life voice is different. It was 5 years ago. I've come a very long way since the very beginning, and it's interesting to see how my bookish taste and my perspective has changed. And also, like, I definitely feel so much more comfortable talking to the camera now. I hope you found that interesting and it wasn't just mildly cringy and weird for me. But now I'm gonna go on to do a combination of the Booktube anniversary and Booktube birthday tag, because, you know, why not? Question number 1 is, how many years on Booktube are you celebrating today? So as I said, 5 years. I've been on Booktube for a whole 5 years. Question 2, what genres does your channel generally focus on? So I would say there are like a few main areas. Classics, definitely. I read a lot of classics and make a lot of videos about classics. Another big area I read is historical fiction. I love historical fiction. I love the past, especially the 19th century, hence all the 19th century classics. But I'm also, in general, really keen on a lot of historical fiction set in all different time periods. I love history. As you heard in my very old video from 5 years ago, I did my undergrad degree in history and English literature. So anything that combines history and literature is my absolute favourite thing. The other main area I would say I read in, which I kind of just mentioned, is reading group fiction, which is like upmarket commercial and more accessible end of literary fiction. But I also enjoy fantasy, and I also enjoy children's literature, and I also enjoy commercial women's fiction. I also enjoy short stories. There's a big range of other stuff that I read as well, and in general I'd say my reading is quite varied. Question 3, what types of videos do you most like to do on your channel? I love doing reading wrap-ups. I also have come around to enjoying reading vlogs more than I did when I first started doing them. I would say my main like favourite kind of Booktube video to make is usually like a recommendations video. So I have my 5 Victorian novels about series where I recommend 5 Victorian novels about a particular theme, and my 5 novels about series where I recommend 5 contemporary books about a particular theme. I really enjoy those kind of recommendation videos, or videos talking about a particular theme in books, and I also enjoy more like analytical videos, especially about classics. In general, I think that while I probably read slightly more contemporary than classics, though it's not too uneven, I think I probably like making videos about classics more because I feel like I have more interesting things to say. But I do also love making videos about historical fiction, so yeah. Question 4, what has kept you motivated to continue making videos? So obviously 5 years is quite a long time to continually make videos over, and I have never taken like a proper break. I think the longest I've ever not made videos for is like a couple of weeks. And I think that's partly because I really love routine, and I really like being organised, and there's a bit of me that just takes a huge satisfaction of having a video uploaded every Monday and every Thursday, and doing that every single week. Also, I've been doing Booktube videos for 5 years because I love it. I really enjoy making the videos, I enjoy editing the videos. I hear a lot of people say that they don't like editing. I actually really enjoy editing, I find it really fun. And it's a creative thing that is different to the other hobbies I have. Like, my other 2 main hobbies in life, apart from Booktube, are reading books and writing. I do a lot of creative writing. I write fiction, mostly historical fiction, and Booktube is just a little bit different, and creative in a different way to writing, and also has more like immediate gratification than writing, I suppose, in that I put videos up and get feedback on them and people enjoy watching them in real time and stuff, and I really like that. I also think the community is hugely important to me. Like, I've made so many amazing friends through Booktube, some of whom I have met up with in real life, some of whom live in different countries and I have never met. So the community of like people I'm friends with has always kept me engaged and excited about Booktube, but also the community and like tons of people who comment. And there's tons of people who comment who have been commenting for years who I don't know them, but I recognise their usernames and I recognise the kind of things they say. I also love having a place to talk about books, but also to talk about books in a particular fun way. Like, I used to enjoy studying books at university, but I used to always feel sad that it was all about like analysis and not about enjoyment. And I feel like Booktube is a place full of enjoyment. And then obviously I work in publishing, so I work in books and I talk about books a lot at work, but that is in a very different way as well, which has a lot to do with the kind of market and genres and boxes, or it's editing and it's very structural, and this needs to go there and you do this and you do that, and how do you make this book better? And actually I feel like Booktube is the space where I have to just like really talk at great length about how much I love a book or a particular author, which I really enjoy. I also think that Booktube has probably been the like biggest confidence booster that I have had in my life. I used to be, I still am very shy in many ways and awkward, and I don't always find conversation easy, but I can talk to a camera at length about books. I mean, I can talk to anyone about length about books. It's other things that's harder. But I feel like Booktube has hugely improved my confidence in terms of like doing presentations at work or having conversations with new people, feeling that I have interesting things to say, and knowing that I like owe that to Booktube has always made me love Booktube even more, if that makes sense, and always kept me motivated to make more videos. Question 5, what are your favourite 3 videos that you have made in the last year and why? So one of my favourite videos I've made in the last year, which I am really proud of, is my tips for getting into Victorian literature video, which I made back in October. I'm hugely passionate about Victorian literature. I love it. I know a lot of people find it daunting and intimidating, and I don't, because I started reading Victorian literature at 13, and so it's nostalgic and familiar to me, and I don't go into it analysing, I go into it for fun and enjoyment and loving the plot. And I really enjoyed making that video, and I know some people found it really helpful. Another video I really enjoyed, a similar kind of tips and advice video I suppose, was my video on how I read as much as I do. I do read a lot, I'm aware that I read a lot, and I'm aware that I managed to pack a lot of reading into what is already reasonably busy life, and I found it really interesting to see people's comments on how they manage to fit reading into their life and what they consider a lot or not a lot to have read as well. For a third choice, I'm going to slightly cheat and say my favourites week, which I did back in September when I reached 10,000 subscribers, where every day for a week I talked about like my top 10s in various areas. I really enjoyed making that series, and it was really great fun and a really nice way to celebrate reaching 10,000 subscribers, so definitely those were really good fun to make and just rave about the books that I love the most. Question 6, what have you struggled with on Booktube in the last year? I feel like it is definitely true that the bigger your channel gets, the more negative comments you get. I think I am much less bothered by the negative comments than I used to be, partly because I suppose if your channel is bigger, you get more positive comments as well, and so they kind of can outweigh the negative ones and you end up just ignoring the negative ones. I think I am definitely less affected by negative comments than I used to be, and I'm more likely to ignore negative comments than I used to be, which I think is probably the best way. So that's definitely one challenge. I suppose the other challenge would be that now that my channel is slightly bigger, I do find it harder to keep on top of like replying to comments and stuff like that. I still reply to nearly all comments, but I feel like it always takes me much longer now to reply to all comments than it used to before, and that sometimes it's like 3 weeks after people have put comments that I'm replying, which is not what I would like in an ideal world, but there are lots of comments, and you know, wonderfully, a lot of the people who leave comments leave long comments that are really engaged and that are worthy of long replies as well. So that is something that is like a positive, but also can be quite time consuming, but I do really enjoy replying to Booktube comments, so I definitely will continue to do that, and I think I just need to carve out a bit more time in my life to dedicate to that aspect of Booktube rather than just to the kind of filming and editing, which I already know I have to carve time out for. Question 7, choose one moment from the last year in Booktube that you would like to relive. So I definitely feel like the highlight of Booktube in the last year was reaching 10,000 subscribers in September, which was very cool. It's a lot of people, and that also feels like a really huge milestone. So I feel like that was a really big deal and really exciting. And also because I didn't ever think that would happen. And when I started my channel, I wasn't ever expecting it to be very big at all. And you know, that many people are not only willing, but excited to listen to me talk very loudly and very enthusiastically about books is really cool. So, you know, that was a pretty nice moment. Question 9, what's the best book you've read in the last year? So I'm not certain. I was looking back because I think my favourite book of 2019 was not read within the last year. One of my top 3 from 2019 was, and that was The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow by Natasha Pulley, which was amazing. I think the highlights so far of 2020 have probably been Hester by Margaret Oliphant, which is a wonderful, truly brilliant Victorian novel. Frog Music by Emma Donoghue, which is a fantastic historical fiction novel. And also And the Mountains Echoed by Calla Tusini, which is like a novel told in the form of interconnected short stories about various very different people kind of connected loosely together, and it was beautiful and amazing and I loved it so much. Finally, question 10, what is the best part about having a Booktube channel? I feel like everything I said when I talked about what keeps me motivated to make Booktube videos, all of those things are the best thing about having a Booktube channel, but if I had to pick just one, it would be the community and the friends I've made and being part of this community. Like, I love making Booktube videos, but I also love watching Booktube videos, and I spend a huge amount of my time watching Booktube videos as well, and I love it, and I find it really engaging and just really, really fun. I love hearing people talk about books, people who I like know and half know or interact with or don't know, and interacting with different booktubers, meeting them in real life or talking to them online, doing buddy reads or read-alongs or readathons. Like Victober and Jane Austen July have been like massively great fun over the last few years, hosting them and seeing people take part and people saying that they have read books that I've recommended for that readathon is just really, really cool and really, really fun. So yeah, definitely the community and everything that comes with it is the highlight of Booktube for me and is really, really amazing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say for today. I have been on Booktube now for 5 years, which is a really long time, so that's pretty cool. I hope you have enjoyed this slightly random video today, but I thought I would try and do some various interesting things and talk about Booktube to celebrate having been on Booktube for 5 years. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.